In this video, I'm going to show you 6 easy to grow vegetables at home. These are great for beginners. We're going to start off with peas. Peas are easy to grow and have very few pests. They're one of my favorite fresh garden snacks. They rarely make it inside. Eaten fresh or cooked, they're not the same as the peas I grew up on that came frozen or canned. If those two ways are the only ways you've eaten peas, you're in for a real treat by growing your own. The best way to start peas is sowing the seed in full sun, directly in the ground about 1 to 2 inches apart. They're cold tolerant and can be sown outdoors 6 weeks before your last frost date. If you have milder winters, you can sow peas in the fall and grow them right through spring. Peas need to be trained on some sort of structure as they are a vining crop. Bamboo teepees and cattle panels have always been the best way for me to trellis them. You can harvest snap peas as soon as you see peas starting to develop in the pod, since these peas are grown mainly for eating the whole pod. For shelling peas, you want to wait until pods swell and look nice and full. Potatoes are one of the most fun things you can grow in the garden, mostly because you never know what you're going to dig up at the end of the season. It's like buried treasure. The flavor of a homegrown potato fresh out of the earth is something you just have to try. Chitting your potatoes before planting gives them a head start in colder winter climates. It also lets you know before burying them in the soil which potatoes are viable and which ones aren't. To chit potatoes, 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date, set seed potatoes in an egg carton in a bright, warm place. Once they have broken their dormancy and sprouts are about ½ inch tall, they're ready to be planted. Chitting or not, you can plant your potatoes 2 weeks before your last frost date. Unlike the traditional method of burying potatoes deep in the soil, there's a much easier way. Place the potatoes on top of the soil about 1 foot apart. Cover your potatoes with a thick layer of straw and keep them well watered. Keep adding straw if the potatoes start to show through. When potato flowers fade and the plants start to turn yellow, it's time to remove the straw and see what kind of harvest you've got. When first harvested, the skins are very thin and fragile. You can rinse them, but don't scrub the soil off. They need to be stored in a cool, dark place for 7 to 10 days to really cure that skin. Lettuce is a great starter plant, especially leaf lettuce. If you've never gardened before, lettuce is a great place to start. It germinates quickly, grows quickly, and you can start harvesting in less than a month. There are 2 main types of lettuce that you can grow, leaf lettuce and head lettuce. Head lettuce takes more time and space to harvest, and leaf lettuce is quick growing and can be tucked in just about anywhere. They like a moist, rich soil but will grow in most spaces and can even handle partial shade. Lettuce is a cool season crop and germinates very easily as long as temperatures remain under 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius. The seeds are very small and it's easy to sow them too thickly. They do need to be thinned about 4 to 6 inches apart for leaf lettuce and about 12 inches apart for most head lettuce. You can eat the thinnings if you hate to pull up hundreds of tiny baby plants, but there's also a trick I can share. Take an old spice shaker bottle, put a couple of tablespoons of sand into it along with the seeds from 1 seed packet. Shake it up. When you sprinkle the contents out, it will naturally space the seeds out among the sand. Most lettuces are surface sown, but some need a thin covering of soil. Keep them evenly moist until they germinate. As the plants grow, a liquid organic feeding helps to make more robust leaves and can be applied every 2 weeks. In the case of head lettuce, you want to make sure that the head is the right size before harvesting. It should feel firm and completely filled out before cutting it from the stalk. You can treat leaf lettuce as a cut and come again crop, meaning you can remove the outer leaves frequently for salads and new growth will continue to grow in the center of the plant. Onions have been in cultivation for over 5,000 years. It's pretty easy to see why. I can't think of very many of my favorite recipes that don't involve onions. I'm not sure why, but growing my own onions and cooking with them is so satisfying. Maybe because they're so flavorful and add so much to so many dishes. Different varieties need a certain amount of sunlight per day for a specific number of days. In the United States, it's broken down like this. If you're in the northern part of the United States, you're going to grow long day onions. In the central part of the country, you're going to grow intermediate day onions. And in the south, we grow short day onions. If you don't grow the right type of onion for the latitude you live in, you'll get only green onions, or leaves, but not the bulb. In southern mild winter climates, we can sow short day onion seeds in mid-November, or if we miss that window, we get another chance in February to sow intermediate day onions. If you're in colder winter climates, you can start seeds indoors 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost date. You can sow a whole packet of seeds very thickly. It will come up like freshly sown grass. For the next 4 weeks, let them grow. 4 weeks before your last frost date, you can separate the seedlings and plant them out in the garden about 6 inches apart. Onions are fairly easy to grow. Make sure they get plenty of sunshine and moisture, and you're sure to get nice, large bulbs. To ensure this, you feed them every 2 weeks with a balanced liquid organic fertilizer. You'll know it's about time to harvest when the stems start to bend over at the neck just above the bulb. When about half of them have flopped over, go ahead and very gently bend the rest of them over at the same spot. This signals the plant that it's time to prepare for dormancy. When it's time for the actual harvest, you want to dig up your onion bulbs from below and not just pull them out by the stem. Brush any remaining soil off of the bulbs and roots and lay them in the sun for 3 days in a single layer. After that, they will go inside or in the shade in a single layer for another 3 to 4 weeks until the leaves are crispy and brittle. Then, store them in a cool, dry place. I don't know about you, but I can't get enough garlic. In recipes that call for garlic, I add at least double what it calls for. Growing garlic is fun and much easier than you might think. You can also get quite a large harvest out of a very small space. Garlic is planted in the fall, and you want to get it in the ground before your ground freezes. 6 weeks before is ideal. In climates where the ground never freezes, you can plant garlic through November and even December. Since they're bulbs, they like phosphorus, so put some organic phosphorus like bone meal in the bottom of the planting holes. You want to choose the strongest, biggest cloves. Those will produce bigger plants and in the end, bigger garlic bulbs. Garlic likes a full sun location and rich, well-draining soil. Plant each clove pointy end up, about 4 inches deep and 6 inches apart. Garlics are almost a plant and forget it crop. They need to be fed every so often, but that's about it. As long as the soil stays moist and was well amended prior to planting, they get by pretty well on their own. It takes about 8 to 9 months to get a harvest, and you'll know when it's about time when the bottom leaves turn brown and start to dry up. When this happens, dig down a little next to a couple of plants and check the bulb size. If they look like they're full size, you can pull them up. You can eat garlic fresh, but if you grew a lot, you want to prepare it to be stored so that it lasts as long as possible. Dust the dirt off the bulbs, leave the stalk and roots intact, lay them out in a single layer to dry, or tie 8 to 10 together and hang them bulb side down to dry. They need to dry in a fairly dark and cool environment for 3 to 4 weeks until the roots and stalks are dry and crispy. At this point, you can cut off the roots and the stalk and continue to store them in a cool, dark location. Picking carrots in my grandparents' garden is probably my earliest memory of gardening. All root vegetables are fun for adults and kids to harvest because you never know what you're going to get. In mild winter climates, carrot seed can be sown in the fall. In cold winter climates, you can sow carrot seed outdoors 3 to 5 weeks before your last frost date. Carrots don't like to be transplanted, so you will need to sow the seeds directly into the garden in full sun. They like a moist, lightweight root run without a lot of nitrogen. Adding manure or other high nitrogen source to the soil will cause your carrots to twist or fork. Carrots are notoriously difficult to germinate. They take a while anyways, and they don't really want to be covered with any soil. The problem that presents itself is the seeds have to stay moist at all times. One trick I use is to sow the seed and cover it up with vermiculite or wood shavings. These let the light through but keep the moisture in. Continue to keep them moist and they will grow quickly. You want to make sure you thin your carrot seedlings so there's at least an inch or two between each one. Cut off all the rest at ground level. The only way to truly know if a carrot is ready to harvest is to brush the soil away from the base of the plant to expose the top of the carrot root. If it looks to be the diameter it should be, it's time to pull it.